All right, be honest with me for a second here. How much time do you actually spend explaining your code instead of writing it? Think about that constant, completely frustrating context switching. You know the feeling, right? You just crack this massively complex logic problem, you're totally in the zone, and then suddenly you have to hit the brakes. You got to switch gears and somehow figure out how to concisely summarize the last 2 hours of work into a tiny Git commit message. Or even worse, you hit a merge conflict. It's just this massive administrative bottleneck that completely rips you right out of your flow state. Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a topic that is just absolute music to a developer's ears. We're looking at how artificial intelligence is finally stepping up to liberate us from those routine, soul-crushing version control workflows. We're going to check out some genuinely incredible tools and scripts that automate the entire administrative side of Git, which means you get to go back to what you actually want to do, building really great software. Here's a quick look at our roadmap for today's Explainer. 1. The version control bottleneck. 2. AI-generated commit messages. 3. Smart command line tools. 4. Resolving merge conflicts automatically. And finally 5. A frictionless developer future. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, Section 1. The version control bottleneck. Why Git slows us down.
Let's start by just acknowledging our shared misery here. We have absolutely all been there. You're trying to track down where a bug came from or figuring out a breaking change, and you look at your Git history only to find this useless wall of messages that just say fixed bug, updates, or WIP. A recent post on the Visual Studio blog hit the nail on the head when they said, "We really need to avoid your repository looking like a mess." See, when we rush our commits, mostly because we just want to get back to the fun part, the coding, we create these terribly unhelpful histories. And that makes pinpointing bugs or onboarding new contributors an absolute nightmare down the road.
Oh, and then there are merge conflicts, the ultimate developer boss battle. Developer Roshan Acharya accurately describes doing this manually as tedious, error-prone, and time-consuming. When multiple people are touching the exact same code, resolving it by hand isn't just annoying, it introduces so much friction and a huge risk of human error. It's literally draining precious time that you could be spending on shipping actual features.
Moving on to Section 2. AI-generated commit messages. Writing the why.
So how do we actually fix this? What's super interesting is how natively this is being built right into our IDEs to automatically write out the what. So you only have to pause and think about the why. Microsoft, for instance, has baked a generated Git commit message feature directly into Visual Studio using GitHub Copilot. Inside the Git Changes window, there is literally a sparkle pen icon. You just click it, and Copilot instantly looks at the file changes you've made, summarizes them, and describes every single change. No more staring blankly at a text box. You get a great summary, you review it, maybe quickly type out why you made the change if you want, and boom, you hit commit. It turns this annoying chore into a 1-second review.
But hey, what if you aren't using Visual Studio? What if you're a total terminal purist? Well, developers are solving this problem everywhere. Take this brilliantly simple custom bash script by developer Wesley Scholl. He used the Gemini AI API to automate his commits, and in doing so, strictly enforced a golden rule of Git, keeping that commit title to a maximum of exactly 72 characters.
It's so smooth. Right from the command line, this script automatically stages all your changes, then it parses and stringifies your Git diff and fires it off as a prompt to the ultra-fast Gemini 1.5 Flash model, specifically demanding a 50-token, 72-character summary. And it even has this cool built-in retry logic just in case the API throws a blank response. Once it's got that clean, perfectly sized message, it auto-commits, securely signs the commit, and pushes it up to your remote branch. Actually, if the push happens to fail, it even automatically pulls and force pushes. I mean, it is a completely hands-off version control workflow. All right, Section 3. Smart command line tools. Natural language in the terminal.
Let's think bigger than just commits for a second. What happens when we bring natural language right into the terminal, the exact place where power users live? The whole point here is killing that context switch. In the old, traditional workflow, if you forgot the ridiculously complex syntax for an FFmpeg conversion or some convoluted find command, you had to tab out of your terminal, open a browser, Google it, copy the command, go back, and paste it in. With an AI-powered workflow, you just type what you want in plain English directly into the CLI, and the AI just generates and runs the correct command for you.
A really perfect example of this is a tool called ShellGPT, or SGPT. This is a command line productivity beast powered by models like GPT-4 or even local models if you're using Llama. What makes ShellGPT so insanely useful is that it's actually OS and shell aware. So if you say update my system, it knows if you're running Ubuntu and gives you apt-get.
or if you're on a Mac and gives you brew. Plus, it integrates straight into your terminal buffer. You press a hotkey, type your natural language request, and it literally drops the executable shell command right onto your input line so you can review it and hit enter.
Just to give you a sense of how badly developers have been craving this kind of terminal-based AI helper, ShellGPT has racked up over 12,200 stars on GitHub. That's huge. It's this massive open-source hit precisely because it completely eliminates the need to memorize all those obscure flags and parameters. Now, for those of you who'd rather manage Git right inside your editor, but you still want that magical natural language control, check out an awesome VS Code extension called Git Pilot. You can hook it up to Gemini, Grok, or DeepSeek and just type stuff like undo my last commit but keep the files, and it instantly handles all the underlying Git commands. But honestly, the best thing about Git Pilot is how seriously it takes safety. It actively validates syntax to prevent command injection, it gives you a preview mode to double-check the command before it runs, and it automatically detects potentially destructive operations. It straight up forces a manual confirmation before doing anything dangerous to your repo.
Which brings us to Section 4, resolving merge conflicts automatically, the ultimate relief.
Okay, we have actually reached the absolute holy grail of Git automation. I have got to introduce you to a brilliant dev tool called, simply, Merge Resolver. It was created by Roshan Acharya for a GitHub Copilot CLI challenge, and it basically proves that merge conflicts do not have to ruin your day. It uses AI to smartly and automatically combine conflicting features.
Here's how it works. When a conflict pops up, you run the resolver. First, it uses standard Git commands to track down every conflicted file. Then, it uses a really robust regex parser to scan those files, specifically hunting for conflict blocks, even the messy, multi-line, or deeply indented ones. It takes just those conflicting blocks and feeds them to the GitHub Copilot CLI with a prompt asking it to resolve them. Finally, it drops the AI-generated solution back in, stages the file, and can even auto-commit. It literally turns hours of agonizing manual code stitching into an automated background pipeline.
Now, I know, handing over your complex merge conflicts to an AI sounds mildly terrifying, but don't worry, the developer built in some absolutely crucial safety nets here. Before it touches a single line of code, Merge Resolver automatically backs up your files. It also has a built-in preview mode so you can do a safe dry run and actually look at the AI's suggested fixes before you commit to them. Plus, you get this really clean visual summary showing exactly how many blocks it resolved per file. So it is automation for sure, but with total developer oversight.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, a frictionless developer future, putting it all together.
The main takeaway I want you to have here is that you don't have to change where you work to start taking advantage of this stuff. Whether you love living in a native IDE like Visual Studio, if you're a fan of a lightweight bash script, if you want a smart terminal assistant like ShellGPT, or you rely on VS Code extensions like Git Pilot, or even if you need those heavy-duty CLI tools like Merge Resolver, the AI is coming to you. It's meeting you right where you are already comfortable working. The days of fighting with Git syntax and writing manual, boring commit summaries are pretty much over.
And that brings us to one final, slightly provocative thought I want to leave you with today. Think about it. How much faster could you, and honestly your entire team, ship software if you never had to manually write another commit message or untangle a messy merge conflict ever again? The tools are already here. It is definitely time to reclaim your day for actual coding. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and hey, happy building!